Welcome all to the Pro Football Radio Podcast. We are at episode number 22. This is your co-host, Jay Cheema, with the pride and joy of Nashua, New Hampshire, the Puma.
That was good. Were you working on the Vince McMahon intro?
Dude, I've been working on it.
That was good.
We're back, brother. We're back.
That was music to my ears right there.
Yeah?
That was good.
Yeah.
What's up, man? It's been like a month.
It's been like a month, man. It's been. I tell you what, this is gonna be our best show ever. Right?
No shit.
I've saved up a lot.
I hope so.
I have had a month to digest. It's glad to be back. Both of us have been away for about a month.
Yep.
But I'm glad we're back, man. It's right around the corner. Football season. We actually just started Thursday night.
Yeah,
Hall of Fame game,
with the Pro Football, the Pro Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, so football season is back. So, quick rundown of this podcast. You'll get the Giants training camp action that me and the Puma went to yesterday. We'll give you a rundown of what we saw there.
Yep.
We will talk about Zeke and Gordon and the holdout. We will talk about Michael Thomas getting his massive contract.
Getting paid.
And then maybe try to hit on the Hall of Fame game as well and what Drew Lock showed us.
Or lack thereof.
Vic Fangio might be right.
Vic Fangio is right.
Yeah, but other than that, man, how you been? It's been a whole month, man. Give me the rundown.
I'm good.
What happened in the world of the Puma?
In the world of the Puma, let's see. Went to France with the then girlfriend, now fiance.
Big news! Big clap all the way around. Big news for the Puma.
Yep.
He's getting hitched.
Yep.
Him and the lovely Tara Evans are now Mr. and Mrs. Puma.
Yeah. Well, we gotta set a date first. We're on deck to be Mr. and Mrs. Puma. But
listen, I know this is a joyous time, and I don't want to be selfish here, but like, I know you mentioned it's gonna be next fall.
Yeah.
Right. If I can request to not be on a Saturday because of Buckeye football, that'd be great. I just want to throw that out there.
Last time I checked, it's Tara and I's day.
Damn it!
And if you want to be this, the JP of the whole situation, you kind of have to march to the beat of our drum this time.
I know.
So,
right? Can I bring a laptop or like an iPad?
Oh yeah, if you start streaming shit,
why not?
If you start streaming shit at the altar, I'm gonna beat you to death with it. It's gonna be the most happiest and annoying day of my life.
No, truthfully though, I'm super happy for you guys, man. I've known you guys as friends, but I've known you guys also as like a couple, and you guys are just absolutely so much happier and just better all the way around as a couple. So,
oh my god,
so I'm happy for you guys, man.
Thanks, thank you. Yeah, did the ultimate tacky thing. Not tacky, I guess cliche. Proposed at the Eiffel Tower. So
that's not tacky. That's awesome, man.
It is.
Give us the rundown. How did it happen?
Okay, so a week before we left, I was thinking about it. And it's like, all right, like we're going to France. So, like, if we've already been talking about the wedding rundown.
I could tell you were a little nervous before you left because you were like, "Jay, I gotta show you something." And I'm like, "What's this?"
Well, I didn't want.
And you see the little nervous right?
You were in the house, and like the ring is sitting right next to you. So, like, if I propose, and then I put it in a text message, being like, "Hey, Jay, I proposed to Tara," like it would have been a bad look with you sitting right next to the goddamn thing on the couch. So it's like, all right, I'll tell you, because we're about to leave the next day. So it's like, who are you gonna tell in like 6 hours? Nobody. It's fine.
Mass email to everybody.
Yeah, no shit. By the way, Brandon's getting hitched.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
So we flew to France, but the week before I went home and went to my mom. She helped me pick the ring out because I didn't know what the fuck I was looking for. I just knew that I wanted to get a ring. It was something nice, and I knew if it was something shiny, it would have been putting it right over the top. So we go to K Jewelers in the Mall of New Hampshire. And we got the store manager. I'm gonna botch his name. Medrano, like it's like like Milan and Milano, but with a D in there. The dude was hilarious. So get the ring, get it rush order. We're going to France, and I hate holding on to shit. So like that ring was burning a hole in my bag. So we get to Paris.
But like how do you work through security and that stuff?
I just buried it in my bag.
Okay.
Like I kind of put it like in the middle in case they threw my bag around in case I had to like check it.
Yeah.
But I kind of put it in a spot where the X-ray machine, it wouldn't be like, what the fuck is he trying to hide? I'm like, please don't make me propose in front of JFK.
Well, my thought process was like, if you try to get through security and they somehow like bring this out of your bag, would you have to do it immediately at that point?
Well,
then,
if
right?
they like grabbed the bag, I was going to try to be like, listen, I have an engagement ring in here. Please don't make me propose in front of everyone in Terminal 3.
Dude, could you imagine that?
I would have been pissed. Like, really? I would have been pissed. But it didn't work out that way. So we get to Paris, and she's on the phone with this like exchange, like the exchange currency kind of deal. She put money on like a debit card, and the debit card got marked as fraudulent. Yeah. So it kind of locked the funds in there. So she was already thrilled with life, talking to people, and the top of the Eiffel Tower was closed. And I'm like, all right, I'm right here. I have to propose at the Eiffel Tower at some point. Yeah. So
was it day, night? What was the deal?
It was day. It was daytime. It was like 11 o'clock. So we're running on like 3 hours of sleep. So we're at the foot of the Eiffel Tower. We're about to exit, and there's like this little area with trees and stuff, and there wasn't a whole lot of tourists there. And it's like, okay, like it's now or never. And we have this bit where we go back and forth to each other, being like, "You want to be stuck with me?" kind of deal.
Oh my god! I'm crying over here.
And
I'm in tears.
So I ask her, like, do you want to be stuck with me? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, good, because I have a really important question I need to ask you. And I get down on one knee, and I open a little, Ever Us box. And on one side it says best friend, the other side it says true love. And she starts crying, and then she says yes, and I'm like, thank God, because this would have been weird. Because it's cliche, only because every time there's like a public proposal at like a baseball game or a football game,
switch pressure.
I'm like,
switch pressure on the chick at that point.
I'm like, okay, like the whole fucking world is literally looking at you, waiting for you to say yes.
Like, you don't want to go viral as that bitch that fucking destroyed this guy's life.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right. So that's why I was like, God, I'm being what I despise. I'm doing it in front of the fucking Eiffel Tower. But like, I'm purposely looking for a spot where there's like barely any tourists there. And I saw this one section where there was like one guy, and he was like 10 paces ahead of us, and there was nobody behind us. Like, all right, it's now or fucking never, Brandon. Let's go.
Yeah.
So did that. And then after that, she had to take care of some business out there, and then we spent the rest of the time in Paris, and it was a great trip.
Dude, I'm crying over here.
Oh, look at that for once, Jay's crying.
I do have a heart.
Oh, now you have a heart. Before you bust my balls being like, oh, Brandon's crying. Oh, let me do my weekly check-in. Make sure Brandon's okay.
Yeah, but this is real life shit. This is the stuff you can cry about, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, my God.
But I am glad you guys are back. So I've realized, like, when you guys are gone, like, what do I do? I have no friends here. Like, it's just unreal. You know what I'm saying? So, like, glad you guys are back. Now, let me ask you the real important question. How was the croissants out there?
Oh, I can't have...
Because I'm a big fan of croissants.
Oh, the croissants are the best.
Like, are they...
I can't have a croissant here. Exactly. I can't have a croissant. I can't have coffee.
Yeah.
Like, even the cheese out there. I'm not a cheese guy, but, like, I really dove into, like, the foreign food pool.
Yeah.
And, like, the cheese out there is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, I can't have a whole lot of things I used to have here a lot anymore because it can't hold a candle to what I had over there.
Sure. No, croissants, man, for me, they're like the perfect bread, right? They're like delicious. They look like art. They're beautiful. You eat them. I mean, it's awesome. If I could have a croissant, like, every single day of the week with like either a burger or like an egg sandwich, I'll do it all, man. You know what I'm saying? Croissants are just fucking awesome to me, you know?
Dude, the baguette over there too?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Everything was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad you're back, man. Glad you got that out of the system. Now Tara's gonna lose you for a whole football season, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she's like, when I was already creating the leagues for our office league, and then for the podcast league, she was doing stuff that morning, and she came back. I'm like, all right, the leagues are all set. She's like, okay, I'll see you in February. Like, she already knew.
She knows.
She already knew, like, it was game over.
That's
she already knew I had a draft board ready, so.
That's a good wife right there, man.
You know what I'm saying? It's fine.
Hey, babe, I'll see you after Super Bowl.
It's fine. She's kind of on board to watch Hard Knocks a little bit.
Oh, nice.
That starts on Tuesday at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, you excited about that?
Oh, fuck yeah. That's why I ordered HBO.
Yeah. Awesome.
Come on, I just bought a conflict diamond, man, and I ordered HBO. I got bills to pay. I'm going to enjoy every episode.
So I have to ask a question, though. Did you or did you not lose your cool on a couple of Frenchies out there?
You know what?
I feel like you would have.
I almost lost my cool.
I feel like you would have gotten so mad that you would have been like, we should let you fucking lose the war, you pieces of shit.
I almost did, only because like I'm stressing on the way home because we used like our travel benefits through work, and we didn't make the first flight, and the gate agent was taking forever to process the person in front of us, and like fucking phones were ringing, and there was like other people working the counter, but like none of them were willing to help us, and we had an hour to get our boarding pass, hop on the train, go to another terminal in De Gaulle, go through security again, and then find our fucking departure gate. And I'm like, about to start smoking again, like waiting for this lady who I'm sure is a nice woman, but I'm about to lose my shit, and I'm holding back from saying, and this is why you got overrun in World War II! Bullshit like this! Like, I was ready to lose my mind. And then she finally got to us and printed out our boarding pass. It's like, okay, have a good day. And I'm like, I'm about to fucking kill you. If I miss this flight, I swear to God. I just picture it. American Franco relations are going to be in the toilet. I'm telling you right now.
I just picture you sitting there with the cowboy hat on, that hat right there.
I almost went with the cowboy hat.
With your chaps, you know what I'm saying?
I almost went with the cowboy hat, being like, y'all got them crescents? Y'all got them crescents over there? How about y'all coffee? Y'all got coffee?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I almost did.
How's the coffee over there?
Oh, coffee's fucking fantastic. Every morning we woke up, went down to a little cafe or little, I fucking forget what the French word is for bar, but we'd have double espresso with croissants and fucking dope ass omelets.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Dude, awesome, man.
It's hard coming back here.
Oh shit.
But what about you? What'd you do on your month off?
Dude, nothing really, man. Just worked away. Nothing really at all, truthfully. I went to LA for some work.
Yeah.
That was nice to be out
How's
there.
How's our fans?
Good. We have a couple of fans out there at the Van Nuys facility. Those guys are awesome. Dude, LA is funny because it's just the land of sushi and tacos. Literally everywhere you look is high-end sushi restaurants and taco trucks. And that's two of my favorite foods, right? So I'm in heaven. I had sushi 3 nights a week there. It's fucking awesome.
Right.
But I will say, and I was talking to you about this the other day, I spent 6 days out there in LA, and I didn't see one single cop out there. That was kind of alarming to me. In a city that's so big with so much tension at all times, I saw no fucking cops out there. It was unreal, you know what I'm saying? I was even in the carpool lane going 80 miles per hour past the traffic with no second person in the car. And I was like, well, I haven't seen a cop yet, so what's the worst that can happen?
They're probably at Chavez Ravine where the Dodgers play. Echo Park. There's 19,000 homeless people living in one part of Echo Park.
Dude, the homeless apartment out there is pretty bad.
That's crazy. And it's all tense.
Bad.
It's, you don't see that in Boston or New York. I didn't really see a whole lot of homeless people in Paris. And then you go to LA, and it's just 10 city under bridges, 10 city in Echo Park, and you name it. It's crazy.
Now, one of my Uber drivers was telling me about how the mayor that's currently in office out there in LA is catching a bunch of heat because apparently he shut down some homeless shelters in downtown LA, but he didn't build enough homeless shelters to get the homeless people in there. You know what I'm saying? So they're just on the streets doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's just bad planning all day around. So it was a good time. I went out there, had some fun, learned a little bit, did some team bonding, ate a bunch of sushi and tacos. So it was a good time.
I heard you made the Wall of Fame.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so I walk into one of our good listeners, Aaron, out there. He's a big Vikings fan.
Aaron the Vikings fan. That's what you know as with me,
fan, right? So I go out there and I've been I was so he works in the charter department and I didn't get a chance to get down there and see him as much as I wanted to just because it was super busy out there. But on the 4th day he calls me up in the morning. He's like, yo, I need you to come down here and just kind of hang out. And I'm like, all right, I'll be on there later on. And I walk in and he's like, listen, I need you to sign this. So, and here's a picture of me with the Clear AC logo, and at the bottom it said Pro Football Radio starring the Puma and Jay Cheema, right? And I had to sign that just because he was like, when you guys make it big, I'll have the first copy, And he hung it right by his wall in the charter office out there, so it's fucking awesome. So you got to go out there and you actually got to sign that as
That's
well.
That's the plan. I got to meet our listeners, our people. Aaron, the Vikings fan, I'm coming for you.
And so Aaron, he listens to our podcast. I don't know if Kevin and Richie do. They said they might on the train. I'm not sure about those guys. Mike as well. He said he listens to it. So it's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well,
oh shit.
Yeah. All right. So you want to talk some football?
I guess we can talk some football.
We are a football radio podcast. We've been sitting here gushing about feelings and marriage and shit.
My god. Now the real fun and games begin of fucking wedding planning. I can't wait.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, let the fucking games begin.
So you guys didn't go a big wedding or a smaller wedding? What's the deal here?
I don't know. We just started looking at venues.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally just made I think it was through the Knot, a fucking website or stages of, you're just at the starting stage. What day do you want to get hitched? And where do you want the venue? So, I mean, I think, I don't know, we're kind of
What the fuck? Like, how hard can we do to set up a wedding?
You know, I mean, you say that now, but I don't know. I don't have an oil well underneath my house, so yeah, I'm gonna YouTube how to wedding plan and we'll fucking go from there.
You're really out there making your own little like center. What do they call it? Center?
There's fucking centerpieces.
Yeah.
You know, my boy Mike did that, and they came out okay.
I'm just saying,
so I might enlist him.
You're gonna spend $5,000 on some dumb shit like that. Just make it yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yesterday, myself and the Puma took a little drive down from Connecticut in the Sweatbox, aka my Mustang.
Dude, I love you. Just know I love you. I'm going to preface it with this. I love you. But never again, Jay, am I sitting in that car for an hour in bumper-to-bumper traffic.
It wasn't that bad coming back.
It wasn't that bad coming back, but the thing is, Jay, is we were sitting outside for 3 hours cooking. Granted, it was in the shade and we had a little bit of a breeze, but it's still traffic on the George Washington Bridge cooking in that fucking car. No, next time... air conditioning.
I think the Mustang has, it has a leak. I think it has an exhaust leak. That's why it's funneling so much heat into the car. Or there's something really wrong with my transmission. It's funneling a lot of heat into the car that way as well.
I don't know. All I know, Jay, is I'm Brazilian and it was too hot to be in that car.
I could tell on the way back you were annoyed.
I'm like, dude, it was so hot I'm falling asleep in your car. I'm falling asleep in your car that is like, has the fucking NASCAR exhaust. And that car, revving the engine.
The car is an assault on the senses. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm ready to take a nap. I'm about to fall asleep. But anywho.
But no, we went down to the Giants training camp. Great venue, by the way. I was actually surprised. Besides that little wait that we had, about 45 minutes getting into the venue, it was a great venue, man. It was... the bleachers were covered in tents. I mean, that great food there.
There were a lot of bleachers too.
Yeah, and we had great viewing angles of the whole practice. It was cool to go out there, see these people in real life, watch the Giants practice in real life. It was cool because they initially had a little session where they stretched, did the team drills by themselves, and then they had some scrimmages so we could watch like actual 7-on-7, 11-on-11 kind of thing. So that was a good experience for us. It's good to see how these practices are set up, and on top of that, it was good to see Eli Manning and Daniel Jones. And Golden Tate was a tiny piece.
Dude, Golden Tate's tiny, right? And then Dexter Lawrence is fucking huge.
Yeah.
Like he was insane. And one of the drills I was watching, it was the defensive lineman, where you have one of the skill position coaches holding a football, and then you have another one holding pads. And this guy would throw the ball, and the person with the pad would deflect it in the air, and it would be a tip ball drill.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I think only one defensive lineman dropped the ball. So it's like, all right, you have like these 350 pounders that are nimble enough to like toe tap their way around and catch these balls. Like Dexter Lawrence was nimble as hell that day, yesterday.
Yeah.
And,
we saw Sterling Shepard out there as well catching some passes. That was a shocker because he had a broken thumb.
Yep.
Who else looked good? Who else stood out? Jabril Peppers.
Yep, Jabril. He was
good speed.
He didn't drop any punts on special teams. Mm-hmm. And then even on the far practice field, you saw the quarterbacks working on botched snap drills, and they looked pretty good. And DJ got some first team reps. And then most of the day, I think he was working with the second team. But he looked pretty good. He had a couple of decent throws downfield. Eli missed one guy just by a step.
Yeah, of course. So at the end of the day, still practice, man. Like, because we can sit here and dissect. Because there were a couple of throws that I thought like both Eli and DJ had that were just not good.
DJ threw it in traffic, a pass that he had no business throwing the ball.
So I mean, at the end of the day, it's just practice. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna read too much into it. It's just fun to see these guys out there. Now, the one guy that impressed the fuck out of him just because of physical stature was Saquon Barkley. The guy is as thick as he is upstairs that he is downstairs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
he's cut out of granite.
Yeah, normally athletes are cut like in a V shape, whereas broad shoulders and then it kind of comes in. This guy is just a solid block all the way down. No. He is very, very he's very well put together,
Yeah, and I'll say this too, just from like the crowd standpoint of, all like the major media, and then any fan on the street is going to say like, oh, like Eli sucks, and fuck Eli, it's all Eli's fault and all that crap. Yeah. But I will say is when Eli walked by our grandstand, almost everybody to a man and woman was stopping short of giving that man a standing ovation.
Well, they're Giants fans.
They're all behind him. I mean, but they're also like the harshest critics, and like they're still applauding that guy. And then even with Daniel Jones, he was having a couple of decent throws. There was a guy next to me, I think he was dipping Copenhagen at the time, but he was yelling like, "Come on, DJ!" Like waiting for him to uncork one. So it seems like the fans despite some of the front office moves, are kind of like slowly buying into what the process is.
Yeah.
So that was kind of good to see too.
Yeah. Overall, it was a fun experience. What was your biggest takeaway from that camp?
Biggest takeaway, it looks like Eli's still the guy for the time being. Saquon's probably going to touch the ball 500 times, depending on how the Golden Tate possible suspension goes. But the offensive line, I think the offensive line is going to be better. Nate Solder's second year in that system, and then he's going to have a little bit more say, I guess, or have a little more wherewithal with the playbook. And then that Zeitler kid they picked up in the trade from Cleveland, I think that's going to be huge for the offensive line. So
I have two takeaways from the practice yesterday. Both Eli and Daniel, and all four quarterbacks struggled against man-to-man pressure. Anytime there was man-to-man on the receivers, it was completed, but then there's a lot of like tipped and
they're throwing into traffic.
So either that could be one of two things. Those guys just don't have the wherewithal of where to throw the ball, or these DBs are much better than we thought they are. It's one of the two. They're great against zone coverage. Those guys were just slinging it in there easily. Additionally, the linebacking group was actually really fast. I was surprised. Maybe it's just because I haven't seen NFL linebackers in person, but
they're
obviously,
quick.
right? Like you have the three groups, right? You have the DB super fast, right? You have like the defensive line and offensive linemen, not that fast. But these linebackers, man, they're massive, but they're still moving like the DBs. And I'm just like, oh my God. These
Alec
guys
Ogletree is like I think he's the middle linebacker for the Giants. And I mean, he's a big guy, and he's moving like a defensive back. And I mean, geez,
the way they're dropping in coverage, I was like, damn, those guys get deep quickly,
The defense is going to be improved over last year.
Yeah, of course, man. Defense is going to be good. Right, at the end of the day, the Giants always had a good pass rush, always had a good defense. So hopefully the quarterback plays up to par, and those guys can win a few games,
Yeah.
I personally think it's going to be an 8-8, maybe a below 500 year for them, but...
it's probably going to be below 500. But the NFC East always log jams, so, even at the end, who knows? They might be in it for a playoff spot, because the NFC East historically log jams.
It's going to be the Eagles and the Cowboys vying for that division, and then third and fourth is going to be Redskins and Giants, one or the other. So, speaking of the Cowboys, major development coming out of Cowboys training camp. My boy, a former Buckeye, go Buckeyes, Ezekiel Elliott has decided to hold out and not show up to training camp. Additionally, another prominent running back by the name of Melvin Gordon for the Los Angeles Chargers also decided not to show up for training camp and holding out for a bigger extension. Melvin Gordon is at the point now where his offer is embarrassing low from what he thinks is a good offer. And his team and Melvin Gordon have requested a trade from the Chargers.
Yeah.
In Zeke's case, he is apparently still negotiating, but he's just decided to take his talents to Cabo for an extended vacation.
Man. You gotta have some tequila and shit.
So here's my thought process. I, at the end of the day, believe that running backs are a dime a dozen, right? Those guys are expendable, in my personal opinion. I believe you don't pay a running back big money like they're requesting. What Todd Gurley, the contract that he got, was stupid in the eyes of the Rams. Sure, I get it. The guy produces, you got to give him his money. But what the money he got is something that I'm sure that Jerry Jones and the Chargers are not willing to go and pay these running backs. I've watched the Patriots and I've seen, just throwing anybody out there to win Super Bowls. And Jerry Jones said it himself that you don't need a rushing title champion to win the Super Bowl. So my thought process is you kind of play it out, man. See how far you want to take it with these guys. You call their bluff and see how far Zeke and Melvin Gordon want to take it.
Well, it's funny that, Jerry Jones said that comment when... And I think it was 91 or 92. Emmitt Smith sat out 2 games, and then they acquiesced and gave him, at the time, a record-setting contract of $15 million per year, NFL. And then they won the Super Bowl that year.
But that's a different NFL. That NFL was just different.
It's Emmitt Smith. Granted, it's back in the 90s when you ran the ball 50 times a game.
Right? It's a different NFL nowadays. It's an air raid offense everywhere. You look
right, but then if you look at Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Media's tweet, which hit it perfectly on the head, this Dallas roster is Zeke dependent. The offense runs through him. Was it smart to build the team around him? That's another issue, but it's built around him. That's why he has leverage. If they had 3 stud wide receivers, a great tight end, and a top-tier quarterback, they could call his bluff. But at this point, they know they have the wherewithal that they know they're going to have to reset the market. They just don't want to pay him the Todd Gurley money when clearly we know what that offense looks like when Zeke's not there. Sure. And it's pathetic. For lack of a better term, it is a pathetic offense, which Zeke is not behind that offensive line. So I think if they want to contend for Super Bowls or playoff appearances, they're going to need Zeke there. On the other side with Gordon, I don't think he has any leverage. I think he read the market wrong.
Yep.
For a guy that's been banged up the last couple of years, I think he had one full season his rookie year. He's not averaging more than 4 yards per carry. I think the offer that the Chargers gave him of $10 million per year, that would put him fourth behind, Gurley, Lev Bell, David Johnson, and then that would put him fourth just ahead of Devonta Freeman. I think that's the best offer he's going to get because no other team's going to want to trade a draft pick and pay him at the same time. So I think he's going to report to camp. I expect Zeke to be there before August 6th because there's no way Elliott's going to want to add another year before he can be eligible for a free agency if they don't get an extension.
Yeah. So my thought process is you are correct in the fact that Zeke has more leverage than Melvin Gordon, but I still wouldn't pay both those guys. Like, I have a fundamental belief that you don't win 3 running backs in the NFL. The NFL is, in a simple nutshell, it's a quarterback-driven league, right? How good is your quarterback, A, and B, how can you get to that quarterback? How can your defensive ends get to that quarterback? So you pay money for people that can get to that quarterback, right?
Right.
The rest of it is just filler. Like, I mean, look at the Patriots. These guys, and I keep bringing up the Patriots because I watched these guys for the last, 20
but
years.
look who's a quarterback for the Patriots, and then look who's quarterback for the Cowboys. Like, Dak Prescott's middle of the road. Top 15 is being kind.
But this is twofold here where the Cowboys can go and see if Dak is worth that money as well. Can Dak perform without Zeke Elliott? Is Dak that elite quarterback that can push his team along without Zeke Elliott? So this is like a twofold thing here they can kind of figure out this season. Do they want to pay Dak? So with that being said, I mean, you can just that way you can see this year if Dak Prescott is worthy of that money or not, right? This is a great litmus test for the Cowboys and Jerry Jones and the ownership group to see without Ezekiel Elliott, what can Dak Prescott do? And if he does come out of this with flying colors, if he does go out there without Zeke this year and just tears it up and lights the league on fire, then you pay the man. Pay Dak.
I'm with the school of thought of Zeke has this team and this offense by the balls with what we've already seen when he's not there. You pay Zeke, you hit Dak with the franchise tag, and say if he underperforms, then you don't have to worry about a contract extension. If he lights it up, then you can pay him. But I mean, a franchise tag would be almost $30 million, so that would still be a pay bump either way. If he doesn't get a new contract, pay Zeke. The offense goes through him.
Get the shit done, right?
No shit. No shit.
Okay, moving on. Second topic of the day, we have Michael Thomas getting paid.
Yep. Dollar bills raining.
Up in New Orleans, man. Looks like the guy got a 5-year, $100 million contract, 61 guaranteed, which makes him the highest paid non-quarterback offensive player of all time. Shit ton of money for Michael Thomas, man.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think he's deserving of it. Pro Football Focus, say that 3 times fast. He had almost an 80% catch rate. Like if you threw him a ball, he wasn't dropping it. He was catching it every single time, and especially when he's doing it without like a Robin to support him. It was really just him and old man Ted Ginn, who missed like 4 games last year with the injury. Yeah. So it was really like Ben Watson was the other leading receiver on that team. So yeah, pay him. The guarantees are kind of tied to how long we predict Drew Brees is probably still going to be playing too. So who knows? I think he's worth it.
Yeah, I think so for a couple of reasons. I've had a couple of different takes on this. I thought he was a system wide receiver. But at the end of the day, man, you're right. There's nobody else down there. It's just basically Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara and Drew Brees, right? There's nobody else that you really can throw to. So you pay the man. You get it over with. You lock him up for the end of Drew Brees' career. This also extends Drew Brees' life shelf a little bit, right? You give him a bona fide wide receiver, and how we've seen Drew Brees the last couple of years. He started out hot, kind of fizzled towards the end, but he still put his team in position to either win an NFC Championship or go to the Super Bowl. So this will solidify that wide receiver position, the number 1 spot. Now it's just about going out there this offseason and trying to get somebody or developing a second guy to complement Michael Thomas.
Right. I mean, the other wide receiver down there that could probably take some pressure off him would be, I think it's Traquan Smith. He showed flashes last year, but Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, I think he's worth money. So good move on New Orleans, taking care of their guy.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, this solidifies him as one of the top wide receivers in the league. Where at the end of the day, he had the stats to back it up, but now he has the contract and the prestige as well. So the way I see this shaking out is, man, I see it as DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, OBJ at 3, and then number 4, Michael Thomas right there, man. The guy deserves to have his name up there with those guys. He's come a long way from what I've seen him at Ohio State. I've watched him for a few years, and he was just another guy, man. He just kind of melted in the background, never really made the big plays. Truthfully, he was overshadowed by a couple other guys like Noah Brown and Paris Campbell, and these other guys at Ohio State that overshadowed him. So maybe it's just one of those things where he went down there and got into a perfect system with the perfect quarterback for him, and he just lit the world on fire. So
yeah.
Now, the one person licking the chops is Julio Jones.
And
that guy is just looking at this and he's like, wow, I'm going to get paid as well, too, now.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I don't think it's going to be market reset. I think it's probably going to be closer to what AB got when he got traded and re-signed with Oakland and got new money. I would expect probably like a 3 or 4 year deal worth like $35 million, but annually he'll probably be the highest paid receiver in the league. I think that's what you're going to get for a guy that's, entering towards the end of his prime. He's, I think, entering his age 31 season. So, yeah. I mean, Arthur Blank's going to take care of him. They kind of sidestepped that whole long-term contract extension years ago, and I think Arthur Blank's the man of his word. He's going to take care of him, and that's it.
The fun little sidetrack question here. 6 seconds left. 4th and 2. Super Bowl. You need a touchdown to win the game. Which wide receiver are you taking for the fade route in the history of the NFL?
The history of the NFL?
Yep.
Oh, God.
Because I'm taking Randy Moss. I'm taking Randy Moss with that fade, man. With his height and his ability to jump out of the building.
You probably would have to.
Yeah. Who else is out there, right?
I mean, Torrey Holt.
Yeah.
Torrey Holt and fucking...
Because Julio does the fade very well. With his impending body and how big he is,
right?
He could do very well as well. But a close second for me would be Calvin Johnson.
Oh, no shit.
Calvin Johnson
he threw it out there, he caught everything.
Is the most underrated wide receiver, I think, in NFL history. Mm-hmm. The guy was phenomenal. He could run just as fast, a tad bit slower than Randy Moss, and he was built like a fucking linebacker. Like,
no shit.
The guy...
He threw it up there,
and he
caught it. It was just a shame he was on some pretty bad
Detroit
Lions team.
Plus, he's with Matthew Stafford. I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I did remember a game where they had 3 people just surrounding Calvin Johnson at the end zone, and he still went up and got the ball and caught a touchdown.
Yep.
So.
No, fucking insane. Yeah. You kind of have to take Moss in that situation.
Right? Moss. It is Moss. Mossed him, right?
Yeah, no shit.
Cool. Okay. Moving to the next topic, the Hall of Fame game and Drew Lock.
Oh, God.
We finally had some football back, man. It was great to come home after work on a Thursday night, sit down, turn on the fucking TV, like football. It was awesome.
Right.
Sure, it was a crap preseason game. There's no starters playing whatsoever. It was a lot of Drew Lock and with Matt Hogan, right?
Yep. Hogan and Drew Lock played for like a quarter.
Yeah.
It's early. It's preseason game 1, but you kind of saw what Vic Fangio was talking about with the media of Drew Lock is like, if you compare it to baseball, he's a thrower and not a pitcher. There's no real finesse with the ball. So you saw that at times. I think he went like 7 for 11 with like 34 total yards, and he overthrew a couple of people. I mean, I saw what I needed to see at this point. I'll still see like if there's progression from like preseason game 2 to game 3 and compare that to this.
So what do you mean by you've seen what you've needed to see already? Like what does that mean?
I mean, if you look at what Vic
Fangio... with that comment, that means you think he's a bust now.
I'm not saying he's a bust, but like if you look at what Vic Fangio said, I mean, there's really... He's the most green prospect out of anyone in the NFL draft in the quarterback class, but people had him ranked against the head of Daniel Jones and Dwayne Haskins at times. Yeah. It's like those people that had him ranked where he was, and then you look at what you saw on Thursday.
Yeah.
How can you logically say that in the draft process he was ahead of these guys just because he can throw the ball downfield.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that John Elway always does. I think is just he falls in love with an arm. He falls in love with that fucking arm, and he has a great cannon. Let's be frank about this.
Oh yeah, he can throw the ball downfield, but I mean he has no touch on the ball. Like so listen, he could have put. I mean Chris Collinsworth was saying if he put some air on the ball, he would have hit that guy in stride.
Yeah, I remember that comment as well because you were just dropping into the bucket there. Here's the thing, man. It's a little too early for just any proclamations, right? I could easily come in here today, sit down and say, Drew Lock, piece of crap. You know what I'm saying? Or Daniel Jones, piece of crap. Like, at the end of the day, it's too early right now to judge anything on these guys. We were at the Giants training camp yesterday, and I did see some bad throws from Daniel Jones, but I'm not going to hold that against him. Dude's learning the system, right? And especially for Drew Lock, the dude came from Missouri in the SEC where they would not call the plays. Basically, the coaches just signaled them in. Every single position group on the offense would look over to the sideline, have their play called out, and they would line up. So this is all new for Drew Lock to actually get the play called into him and then disseminate that information to his team.
Right.
So it's new for him. It's a learning curve even bigger than Daniel Jones' learning curve. So it's a little too early to go down that road.
But I will say this, though. If you compare both camps, you'll have, like, Saquon and a couple other people and, like, the offensive coordinator and even the head coach of the Giants saying that Daniel Jones is picking up the offense quicker than expected, and other wide receivers are saying he's putting the ball where it needs to. Unless I'm not following enough people on Twitter from the Broncos side of the world, the only person that ever said anything was Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio kind of threw him under the Greyhound.
Well, I mean, it could be one of those things where there's other politics in play here, right? It's one of those things where maybe the Giants camp is more, I don't know, quarterback friendly. Who knows? Maybe they're covering it up. I just don't know. It's too early right now to make all these proclamations. Like, let's wait till at least a year in. I think by week 12, right? If they're starting for 4 or 5 weeks and they're not progressing and they still look like shit like last night, then you're like, fuck, this is bad, you know?
I'm just saying, if Joe Flacco goes down week 1 and it's between Hogan and Locke, nope. That's like the meme with like the guy brushing his forehead with the 2 buttons.
Well, listen, this is how green this quarterback is in Drew Lock. There was that story on the telecast on Thursday night where apparently he would mimic this at home, trying to get the play called into him and reciting the information to him. For him, it's all new, getting that play call and disseminating that information out. So he would, have his cell phone to his ear, and he'll have the recorded plays in the cell phone, play it to him. Once he's got the information, he'll run to the mirror, recite that information back to the mirror as if he's reciting it to the team. So that's how green he is with the disseminating information via play calling.
Another thing I thought was funny, and I kind of rewatched it like 3 times, was Chris Collinsworth. I'm going to do a really bad impersonation of Chris Collinsworth.
Let's watch this. Let's hear this.
Here's a guy that he's from Missouri. It's not really the best SEC team, and he never really had the best offensive line, and his wide receivers were never really going to win the matchups in college. And I rewound that and I listened to it. Like, he was trying to give Locke an out, and I understood he was trying to do that. But I rewound it and I re-listened to it and I typed it up on Twitter. That's pretty much what Daniel Jones had at Duke. But that just blew my mind.
But at the end of the day, the competition in the ACC is nowhere as good as the competition in the SEC.
But clearly,
what Drew Lock was going against NFL defenses was not what Daniel Jones was going against.
But he isn't pro-ready.
Who?
Locke. I mean, clearly.
Well, so is Daniel Jones. Like,
he was in the more pro offense.
If you go off of Daniel Jones' numbers in college and his production, he is not ready for the NFL either. But if against a crappier conference with a crappier difficulty of play, like, he didn't produce at that level.
Yeah, you know? But Daniel Jones didn't have to look to the sideline with 2 guys with giant hamburger helper gloves.
I get
he could call an offense. He could call protections.
I
don't think Drew Lock has ever called an offensive line protection in his life.
Correct.
Up until last Thursday.
Yeah, and that's gonna be his biggest hurdle. Like, if he can master that, that's gonna be half the battle right there. Getting terminology down in the NFL, you know.
But it's just like, again, if you look at like these personalities like Dan Orlovsky, we've all made our bones about Orlo.
He's a piece of crap.
And then
I hate watching him.
And then all these other like draft analysts, and it's like they're saying all this stuff about him, and then they're comparing it to like Haskins and Daniel Jones. It's like, in what world were you seeing what you saw and then translating it to Thursday night like that?
Dude, not to go off on a side tangent, but the ESPN commentators are fucking crap, dude. Whether it's Dan Orlovsky or what's the other guy, Dominique Foxworth, fucking annoying as hell. And then one other guy, he's like the fake wannabe Stephen A. Smith, walks off the set.
What,
Ryan Hollins.
Yep.
Dude, there are just a bunch of crap personalities on ESPN. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I don't watch ESPN anymore. I watch FS1 straight up. I watch the 9:30 a.m. Undisputed show, and then I watch Colin Cowherd at 12. And sometimes I'll even watch Speak for Yourself at 3 p.m. with Whitlock and what's his name, Marcellus Wiley.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's great. I mean, we were watching that. Really, the only time I watch ESPN is just to see Stephen A. Smith sound bites, and I'll show it to Tara because I converted Tara to being like,
he was on crack.
Stephen A. Smith, who was on crack? I'm having a very bad day. I'm in no mood.
No, they're just dude.
I don't want to play with anybody.
ESPN commentators are bad, dude.
Right,
they're bad all the way
But
around.
in short, like comparing like the draft picks this year, what I am going to watch is on Thursday the Jets and Giants. They play week 1 of preseason, and I'm expecting Daniel Jones to probably get a lot of run in the second quarter. So I'll watch that and compare it. And I mean, I'm with you. If Daniel Jones is sucking a bag of dicks in game 2, I'm going to call. I'm a huge Daniel Jones.
Well, I don't know if you're going to call it though. I don't know if you're going to call it though.
I'm going to call it out.
You're head over heels in love with this guy already.
I mean, you heard me at training camp yesterday and earlier where I was like, he's throwing into traffic. He probably should have just thrown the ball away. Like, you're calling it for what it is. So if he's stinking up the joint in game 1 of preseason, oh yeah, absolutely. I'll be keeping it 100 with him. But all those people that are saying Drew Lock should be going ahead of Haskins and Daniel Jones, they might want to relook at their scouting evaluations and get back to us.
Yeah. Okay, cool. The last thing we want to touch on is the situation in Washington.
Oh, yeah.
You want to give us a rundown on that?
Yeah, so in the blue corner, you have Trent Williams, probably one of the better offensive tackles in the NFL. And in the red corner, you have the Washington Redskins. So this stems back to the end of the 2018 season. Medical staff, they were looking at Trent Williams, and they noticed a growth on his forehead. They believed it to be malignant. So Trent Williams, he went under the knife, and he had a pretty extensive surgery done on it to get it removed. It's just under the scalp line, and they found out that it was non-malignant, thank God, but that kind of torched all trust with the medical staff of the Washington Redskins. He doesn't want to show to training camp. He missed mandatory minicamp. He's sat out training camp so far. Washington's kind of in this war of attrition where they think that all these fines piling up are going to make Trent Williams show up.
Yeah,
and I don't think Trent's going to show up. If it's strictly a medical issue and not a contract thing, I don't think he's going to sit it out until he gets straight or cut.
Yeah. I have a fundamental belief that an NFL player or an NBA player should have 2 okays or 2 checks before he gets back onto the field or the court. Whether it's so the 2 checks would be the personal doctor checking him off and clearing him, and then the team doctor checking him off and clearing the player before he returns to action. Too many times you've seen this now, especially with the NBA, with how Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, how those situations played out. These team doctors push these players back on the court because they have a vested interest as being a team doctor.
Right.
Like they want these guys back on the court, making money, winning games. It is what it is, right? And I truly believe this upcoming CBA, they should really have like a conversation with the CBA, with the owners about how there should be 2 lines of checks before players get back on the field. Whether it's an independent doctor or their own personal doctor and the team doctor, both of them should have a say before the player gets back on the field if he's healthy or not.
Right, and especially like with Washington, like you have a rookie quarterback that's expected to take the reins either straight out of camp or probably after week 4 or 5 when they go through the widowmaker of the beginning part of the schedule, and their offensive line is sketchy at best without Trent Williams. I mean, they signed Donald Penn, who 2 years ago was one of the better run-blocking offensive linemen. He was pretty decent as a pass protector, but he's not Trent Williams. Do you really want a rookie quarterback to step into that situation with a sieve of an offensive line? I think really the only solution for this would be Trent Williams gets traded. I mean, they can't cut him and eat the cap money. So either trade him to Houston where they have to protect Deshaun Watson. He was sacked like 62 times. You can send him to Cleveland where their one chink in the armor is on the left side of the offensive line since Zeitler got traded to the Giants. Or he gets shipped off to New England, who I think was one of the first teams to be calling Washington for a potential deal where they could put him on the line since they lost Trent Brown to Oakland. This cat, Isaiah Wynn. He's coming off an Achilles injury. He's kind of slowly going through camp, whereas at least if you put Trent Williams on that line, it's kind of plug and play. There's no issue. You protect the greatest of all time, go from there. Yeah. It's just I don't know what kind of draft compensation Washington is expecting. I think you'd probably get like maybe a fourth rounder at best, maybe third. I just don't know if they're going to accept that offer.
Yeah, and I think at this point the relationship is too strained. It's too toxic.
They have to
get rid of him. Even if you bring him back, he's not going to be a happy camper in the locker room. He's going to turn things toxic.
Like even if Dan Snyder gets in a private helicopter or a private jet and flies over to Trent Williams' house and offers him like the most money any tackle's ever been paid. Like, do you really want that person that's like been paid off but still has trust issues with the training staff? Which over the last 3 years, if you look, that team has led the league with people on IR. Mm-hmm. So it's like also like if you a little suspect of like the conditioning staff. Like if you have no faith, you're obviously not going to fire the whole training staff, including the doctors. You have to trade them.
So all I'm saying is. With how much vitriol that went towards Kawhi Leonard's way for sitting out in San Antonio, like he's got to be looking at the story and saying, "I was fucking right." Like, what did I tell you guys?
Right.
Like when you sit back and you see what happened with Kevin Durant, where you're seeing what happened with the Redskins, like Kawhi Leonard is sitting back and saying, "Like I was fucking right to do what I had to do."
No
like
shit.
Team doctors aren't paid by the players; they're paid by the team to get these people back on the fucking field, right? So I don't know. Looking back, like Kawhi Leonard pulled the right move. You got fucking jackasses like Skip Bayless, calling him out for that. But at the end of the day, he did it right, and the proof is in the pudding. Now you see all these fucking guys out there tearing Achilles like Kevin Durant or fucking going through the
right. And then like Trent Williams, there was a story. I think it was Jason Lockenfor or one of the other cats from CBS Sports did a story of how Trent Williams was playing with like either like a grade 2 MCL sprain in his knee, and like he didn't want. It was in the middle of a playoff race. He didn't want to miss time because the team was still in the hunt. So you have this guy that's like putting his body on the line every time playing hurt, and then you kind of spook him with this medical thing, and he has no faith in you guys. Then yeah, absolutely. Trent needs out of that building for sure, and everyone have an amicable split at that point.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Anything else you want to get to, good man? Or are we good here?
I don't know. 18-game season real quick?
Sure, why not? Let's go for it.
So, I don't know. While we were on vacation, the owners of the league, they kind of broached this idea of what some people are calling the 18-16 proposal, where you have 18 games in a single season, no players eligible for 16 games. I don't think it's that great of an idea. I think what they're trying... I get it. Like, they want to get rid of preseason, but by getting rid of the preseason and making no player eligible for more than 16 games, you're putting like preseason type players and lack of development and injecting it in the middle of a playoff race.
I personally like the idea. I am all for more valuable real football, less preseason games. The only thing that I have a little bit of an issue with is the players can only play 16 games out of the 18. But on the other side of that is it will bring a lot more strategy back into the game, right? You will have to figure out, when can I play my quarterback for 16 games? Like, when do I need him the most? Will I want to, front load his games and then have him a couple of weeks off and then, finish out the season strong? Do you want to set him out 2 games in the beginning and play him 16 straight games? Like, what strategy will these owners and teams and players come to agree to? Additionally, I think it will really make the secondary market for like quarterbacks and running backs and wide receivers like kind of take off. Like it'll bring a bunch of new blood into the NFL,
right?
And hopefully that will bring up more roster spots,
right? That it'd be great, but like the biggest complaint is they don't have enough time to develop, offensive and defensive linemen and then quarterbacks. Like with the CBA, there's so many limitations on how many practices you can do. Like the 2-a-days aren't there anymore. You have one full on padded practice and with contact a week. Like if you had a developmental league, I could understand of, hey, there's something where we could put our 2s and 3s and get more game action, then call them up kind of deal. But I can't name more than 3 good offensive lines. And I think this rule would be fine up until Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers gets obliterated by a defensive end because they had a number 3 starting on the offensive line who had no business being in there in the first place. And then if you think about it, the Dolphins got in trouble last year for, at the last minute, they said Ryan Tannehill was a full participant in practice, and then almost like 2 hours before game time, they said, oh, he's not playing, he was out with a shoulder injury. And the Chicago Bears, they lost, which is neither here nor there. They lost the game. But with the growing aspect of sports betting and gambling getting involved, you have to, I would imagine, you would have to at least come out by a certain date saying when this player is sitting, when they're starting, so they can adjust the lines properly.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it's an actual tangible negotiating tool here. Like, I think the owners are just being the fucking owners. You know what I'm saying? They're just using this as a pawn in the game.
Yeah, it's just a chip.
It's nothing of relevance here. So whatever, we'll see how this pans out.
I say put it down on the board. Brandon de Puma Silva says 16 games for here until like the end of time. At this point,
no, they're gonna eventually.
At this rate, you're gonna get, if anything, you're gonna get 19 games and 2 bye weeks. But like, there's no way you're gonna get like 18 games with 16 games of players being eligible. I don't see it.
Cool. All right, man. We're at that show. We're at the time of the show where you plug it up as usual.
So Facebook, Instagram, you can find us the Pro Football Radio Podcast, Twitter PFR Podcast. I'm on Twitter at Brando_Puma. Jay Cheema is at Jay Cheema. You can find content on Spotify, SoundCloud, GooglePlay, YouTube, Stitcher. Let us know what your feedback is on the podcast. We want to make this more tailored towards you. This is about you guys. And for those of you that are lucky enough to be in the Pro Football Fantasy League, be sure to check your inboxes, activate your team. The draft is going to be set for August 30th, the day before final cutdown day. We should be all set with rosters at that point. So, yeah, activate, get a cool team name, and that's really all I got.
Awesome. We are so glad to be back. It's been a month, man. This is good to be back, man. Get some podcasting done. Right?
Yeah, and remember, do hashtag take PFR with you. Get at us, and we'll show you some love. Otherwise, via con Dios.